Committee for Newmarket, and it's January 14th, 2013, and this is the Budget Committee's public hearing to hear feedback from you, the public, about the school and the town proposed budgets and warrant articles. Different communities do it different ways, but what our intent is to receive feedback on what the school board and the town council have proposed for their operating budgets, as well as the proposed warrant articles. And then, depending on how late the evening goes and the feedback we receive, the Budget Committee might make decisions on the warrant articles, or some of them tonight. Some of them are not very controversial or expensive. We expect, if time allows, to make some decisions on our recommendations. Then we will meet on January 22nd as a Budget Committee to finalize our proposed budget for the school operating and the town operating budget. And that's the number, the bottom line number, that goes forward to the voters for the deliberative session, which is the 2nd? February 2nd. And the town is at 10 a.m. and the school is at 1 p.m. at the school auditorium.
Wasn't town at 9?
Gymnasium. Auditorium, gymnasium, yep.
9?
It's a gymnasium.
9 or 10?
Is it 9 or 10?
I thought it was 9.
I thought it was 9. I don't know.
Clarify for me, folks.
10
Sorry.
o'clock for the council.
Steve?
10 o'clock for the town.
Okay. The
Yes,
town starts at 10 o'clock
Okay.
on Saturday,
All
the
right.
February 2nd. The school starts at 1 p.m.
Who was it?
Hopefully, the town won't go past 1 p.m., because then we'll have a problem. But that's the deliberative session where the voters who are present have the opportunity to amend those warrant articles and the operating budget. And then the outcome of that deliberative session is what is presented on the warrant that you get to vote on when you go to the voting booth on the first Tuesday in March, which I'm not going to guess the date of because I don't have it in front of me. So tonight is really the opportunity for feedback that helps the Budget Committee put forward a budget that we have been considering for the last few months. The school is going to go first, and the school board is present not as a meeting, but to help answer any questions that might arise that the Budget Committee or the superintendent and the staff are unable to answer. And some representatives of the town council might be present later when we get to the town's budget. Sure. And what we'll do for format, so everybody understands, is I've asked the superintendent and I've asked the town administrator to each do a presentation that summarizes the budget and the warrant articles. And then after the superintendent does that, we will have comments from the public on the operating budget or any of the warrant articles. And when we're done receiving that comment, we'll go to the town side. Before we do all that, though, I'd like to have everyone rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, so with that, I'll ask Dr. Hayes, who's the superintendent of the school district, to provide an overview, and he's going to use these color-coded sheets to guide his comments with you.
If you didn't pick up these sheets, they're on the table over there, so please do. And I'm just going to go through each article, but really just touch on the highlights. In the first article, it is the total operating budget that you'd be voting on. We have an operating budget of $14,843,617. It began higher than that. It began as a level program budget, but with a 5% increase. The school board worked hard to reduce that to the current 2.84% increase over the current year budget. To do that, though, meant cutting 5.5 positions, and so we've eliminated them, and there's information in here about those. On the lower left side, you see under factors. What has really been driving our increase are things beyond our control, and they're listed all there for you, the biggest one being the huge increase in the New Hampshire retirement system. Also, fuel oil is a big piece of this. But all of those are really beyond our control, and they actually increased the budget by 2.94%. So it's even more than what the increase in the budget is. In the article, the wording of the article to the upper right you see that what we do on any that are of a financial impact, we do put the estimated tax impact at the bottom. We have calculated a default budget, so the default budget number is there. In that first article, I would also make note of something that is very special. Down where you see the italicized part, it says, note, if Article 3 passes, the operating budget will be reduced by $37,339. I'll explain that further later on, but those two articles tend to be, they're linked here by the language. And so I'll get to that when we get to Article 3. The lower right-hand column gives all the information about revenues and then results in the tax impact. So if this article passes, it shows an estimated tax impact of a reduction, a decrease of 2 cents per thousand. If the default budget, however, is the one that is passed, then it's an increase of 34 cents per thousand. The only other thing on that first page is in the lower left-hand column, it's a summary of all of the financial articles for you. And so there are 4. You get to see their impact for both the requested and default. And so if all 4 of them passed, it would have an estimated impact of 95 cents per thousand. On the reverse side, at the top of the page, are just summaries of things that are highlights of the proposed budget. And again, you can see the number of 2.84% that is shown there, and it shows the comparison to the current year. Down below, we have even more budget highlights, and again, you can read those at your leisure. It's pretty self-explanatory. On the yellow sheet, if you flip it over to the second side, I really want to begin over there so I stay in order with articles. Article 2 deals with fire and life safety at the junior-senior high school. What I've provided in narrative there is a summary of everything we have done in the district relative to fire and life safety since we started down this road 2 years ago. I show you the 4-year plan that is there. It shows what was approved the last 2 years. And then this year we're requesting year 3 of this plan, which is $706,907, and that money gets added to the dual purpose fund. It's got a very long name, but we refer to it as the dual purpose fund, and then is used to either do fire and life safety renovations or could be used for construction of a new school. I would only point out a couple other things. The $769,270 appropriation from last year is already down by about $100,000. And that's because we had to do that. You may remember that potential ceiling collapse. It had to be done in 2 phases, and it describes it here. But the second phase was done last summer. The first phase came out of the operating budget. The second phase couldn't, and it came out of this dual-purpose fund. So that amount is down by about $100,000. The other thing is just to bring you right up to date. What we are working on right now are the egresses from the science labs on the second floor, and fire marshal and local fire officials say that must be done. So we're preparing to go out to bid in March so that we can begin that work in the summertime. In terms of the other piece that was part of that second-year plan, the elevator, that's delayed for right now. Flip to the other side of the page, the front of it, and you see Article 3, which is the teacher's contract. If you look at the article language, it shows the financial impact over the 3 years. It's a 3-year agreement. What you see in the first year there is that we are using the savings from health insurance. The precursor to the contract negotiations was renegotiating the health insurance plan. We have a different provider with 3 new plans. The cost savings to making that switch is almost $345,000. All of that money is applied to year 1 of this contract. But year 1 costs are only $307,616. So that's where we get that net change of a negative $37,339. So those savings, if both Article 1 and Article 3 pass, those savings are applied to Article 1, and the operating budget there is reduced by that amount. You then see the costs for the other years. Again, at the bottom of that article, it says estimated tax impact. If this passes, it's a decrease of 5 cents per thousand of assessed value. I've already mentioned the new provider. Let's see. There are other elements. Yeah, I'm looking at them. We have a POS, an HMO, and an open access plan that's coming in. The amounts that are shown on there under compensation are not just salaries, but it's all the salary-driven expenses as well. There are bullets there that give different features that are more language elements. And then on the flip side are other compensation. Oh, excuse me, let me stay on the front for a moment because I didn't point it out. You see a small box down in the lower right-hand column that says salary increases. So it tells you exactly what the salary increases are over the 3 years of this contract. On the flip side, other compensation at the very top. It shows you there's a step 1 bonus, which no longer exists. I describe a couple longevity pieces which will continue in the contract. There's the beyond step 15 compensation, which if you read through that, we divided those people into 2 groups. Those who are receiving $3,000 or less, and for them, that benefit continues through the 3 years of the contract. And then those who receive more than $3,000, for them, that amount gets reduced by $500 each year. On the front of this yellow sheet of paper is Article 4, calling for a special meeting. It's a companion article, if you will, to Article 3. It says that if Article 4 is defeated, then if Article 3 is defeated and Article 4 passes, then it gives the school board the ability to send the negotiators back to the table, come back to a special meeting for cost items. The next one is a white-colored sheet, which is a memo that I sent out today to the school board and the budget committee, and our budget committee requested a comparison. Look, it's got a big table on it. It's a comparison of salaries. And the budget committee asked me to make a comparison of Newmarket teachers' salary scales versus others that are in the region. And you can see that, as has been discussed numerous times, to the great extent, our teachers are not paid on the level commensurate with our neighbors. And that makes it difficult to attract and retain teachers, and so that's why the board certainly has an interest in improving teacher salaries. Next to the blue sheet, there are 4 warrant articles there. They're all dealing with taking any surplus balance out of this year and dividing it up equally to be placed in 4 of our trust funds: expansion of school facilities, repair and maintenance of school facilities, special education, and school technology. We have a very tight budget. Right now, we're certainly not projecting a surplus, to be very frank. But in any case, if some money somehow at the end of the year became available, we'd like to be able to start replenishing these funds that we've been tapping, some of which we've been tapping into. None of those have a tax impact. Article 9, similar to some of those trust funds, we are experiencing, as you are at home, spikes in fuel oil especially. And it's so big for us because we use so many gallons that what we're seeking to do is to create a utility expenses capital reserve fund, place $50,000 into that so that can be our insurance against unanticipated spikes that make it difficult to deal with in an operating budget that's already been approved. On the back side of the blue sheet, unanticipated funds, there's an article there which if approved, would authorize the school board to apply for, accept, and expend money from unanticipated sources without any further action by the municipal meeting. It allows more flexibility in applying for grants and taking advantage of grants, and hopefully you take a look at that and make some sense from what I've written. Article 11 is on inclusion of tax impact information. Although I'm providing that estimated tax impact on these handouts, we are prevented by law from putting that on the warrant. The only way it can get on the warrant is if the voters vote it at an annual meeting, and then subsequent years it can be put on the warrant. So if you approve of this, then future warrants will contain estimated tax impact data right on the warrant article, right on the ballot that you vote on. Article 12 is non-binding referendum. It's just to get a sense of the community in terms of your level's degree of support for us continuing talks with Oyster River to pursue the possibility of educating our high school students at their high school. I think that'll do enough. Okay.
So again, if you don't have the the colored sheets, they're up front. And at this point, we'll open the public hearing. And you can speak on the operating budget or any aspect of the articles that have just been outlined, or ask questions and we'll try to answer them to the best we can. When you do come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. It is a public meeting and we need you to keep track of that information. So you can raise your hand and just walk up, or if there's a line, just form a line behind the podium. I don't have to call on you, just come up and get in line. Go ahead, Mr. Porter. Can you pull the microphone up? Okay, never mind. You're leaning
Okay,
over,
Ed Porter out at 177 Exeter Road, Newmarket. I know before I've been bringing up issues about this bonus thing, because we went back and forth on it, and we didn't get anything straightened out, as Mr. Hayes knows, right? You and I.
We've talked.
And I've been reading what you have here and what I have here. I got this from your office, and it shows the bonuses given out. Now, what I'd like to get it straightened out, I know you got it broken up over here in the yellow sheet. And what I have here, there's a lot of them that got 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. Now, have you changed this, or have you just been given to them already, this money?
Given to the budget committee?
No, to the teachers.
Oh, absolutely. That information was part of negotiations.
Brought some of them up to 62,000, 60,000, so forth. Because I'm reading your yellow one there, it's sort of a little mixed up over here. If you were going to deduct some from someone because you gave too much, or what?
Can you try to...
Reduced by $500 in 2013-14.
And those people that earn more than the 3,000,
Actually, the whole total of this given out was $226,000.
that's
That
correct.
was nothing brought up before us in any budget meetings or anything else like that.
That's correct.
It was just given out without voter approval.
Let's talk about the articles from previous years.
You're talking about in previous years.
All these bonuses, because
Those
someone
were-
got 6,000, and it goes back to 2008, 2009, 2010. Retroactive.
I agree with you. The reality is that those were legitimate contracts that were signed and issued to people, and they were paid.
Well, I mean, I read the
And we have to honor those. The question that we're dealing with here is, how do we move forward from that? And that's what I've tried to explain in this negotiations here, how we arrived at some solution to that.
because, I mean, I get the contracts that show the salaries of the contract, union contract, what it was all about, 2010, 11, 2012, 13, or whatever. But I'm just saying that it seems like, in other words, you can give out any amount of bonuses you want anytime you want.
It's not so. It's all driven by contracts. It's all driven by
It wasn't in the
contracts.
contract.
Yes, it is.
It was only once in the contract, one for 500 and one for 1,500 for 2011 and 12.
When you have a contract and language is not explicitly clear, it's how it gets implemented. And how it was implemented back then was to make those amounts cumulative. And that cumulative nature is what resulted in there being many people being paid that additional $6,000. So when we negotiated this time around, what we did is we separated out the few people who are earning 3,000 or less from those that are earning more than 3,000. And so we began with a 3-year to reduce that amount. And for the greater part, they're making $6,000, not $4,500. And to reduce that amount by $500 each year. That's what's in the teacher's contract, in this proposed teacher's contract.
But you didn't have it in the other contract that retroactive 2008, 2009. It was $1,500. You wrote that down on a paper you gave me, that those were the years that it went back to $1,500 in 2008, 2009, 2010.
Again, when language is not clear, it's how it gets implemented. And once it's implemented, it's as good as if it were in writing. And that's the reality that we were dealing with. Legally, that is a practice that can only be changed through negotiations. And that's what we tried to do.
So Ed, I just want you to be, I think what needs to be clear for you and the voters out there and the public is that if a teacher was getting $6,000 this year and the contract passes, next year they're not going to get $6,000.
They got this already.
Right, Ed, but listen, please, this is about the next contract. They will get $5,500, and then the year after that, they would get $5,000. So it's trying to address your concern, and I think what the school administration and the school board has recognized was an inadvertent outcome of the previous contract.
Because I don't want to.
And
it's going to reduce it.
It also states in there that the language that enabled that is deleted from the contract. So there will be no new employees that will have any experience with that benefit. It's only the existing people who are receiving money today.
Oh, well, like I say, at least I had a point here that I was right in a way, because I brought this up in a deliberative session last year, and you avoided it and this and that, because you were asked about this bonus plan, and you like to keep, you didn't want to discuss it anyway. But I'm not going to go any further on this. I mean, I just want to make a fact known that I did catch this on this here, and then some of these teachers got the salary up to over $60,000, and yet you give out a report on some of those things, they're only making 30, 40, or 50,000. I mean, we should get an accurate account of what actually people do make. Not only your teachers, but the public works people, the police department, and everybody else, and add everything that they get.
On the backside of this yellow sheet, I
don't
put
care where it is, because over here I
put
have,
every other financial aspect to that contract.
I get one that's about, 500, 400, 3,000, 2,000, then it goes up to 60. I'm just saying what I get, because I get all your teachers' salaries upstairs, and I get for the last, this is one of them anyway, but I also got the one that was completed,
Yeah.
Well, before you gave the 6,000 or 3,000 or 4, and I got the one afterwards. And that's why I wanted to get it straight, because I think we should know exactly everything on there, complete thing, because you could add on they could be making $62,000 salary, but no, you don't add the benefits on there what they get, like insurance and everything else. It almost comes up to what, about $80,000, wouldn't you say?
I really, offhand, I couldn't guess, but there's no
Adam
question. Health insurance is a big benefit. There's no question.
Anything else they get, because they get other things involved here, longevity and added compensation and so forth and so forth, Now, I just want to bring this issue up because,
Understand.
we like to have an accurate account about this, because we don't want to say, well, they're not making that much, give them a big increase this year. And what is the increase this year, 3.7?
Yes.
It's kind of high. Going to the government, we should be 1 point something.
Larry Pickering, 119 Ashwamp Road. I have a question and a comment. The question is in reference to the the vote taken by the school board in reference to the Article 3. Article 3. and it was a 4-0 vote with one abstention. And my question is, who was the abstention? Who was that person? And what was the reason for the abstention? Chet? And you were here, obviously. I mean, you were at the vote.
Yes,
And did you give a reason for the abstention?
yes.
Okay. Could I hear it?
It was basically for the low end of the salary scale of the new contract
Okay, thank you very much
for
for that.
younger teachers.
Okay. And my next, what I'd like to speak about is the health insurance savings, $344,955. Certainly thankful that the school board and the teachers have agreed to this. I can't believe that we as a community have sat on our hands and not looked at this in the past. To think that we have been shelling out an extra $300 and some odd thousand yearly that we didn't have to is just unbelievable. I read an article in the Exeter newsletter, I believe it was Friday, was in reference to that savings, and not anywhere in there did it state that the idea came from the Efficiencies Committee. Everybody's getting credit, but the real idea of that came from the town's Efficiencies Committee. It passed it on, and then an RFP went out. And I believe the RFP that went out, that's another situation. The RFP that went out on that stated that we were looking for proposals for new quotes on insurance from different carriers. And it had to be at least the same or better than what we currently have on the books per contract language. My understanding, there was no contract when that RFP went out. Am I wrong?
You'd be wrong, because teachers are always covered by a contract.
I thought that they were working without a contract.
No, my year's right. The contract that ended, whose term ended in 2012, at the end of the 2011-12 year, because we weren't able to negotiate a successor contract, then that previous contract continues in force. The only thing that gets held back, all of the compensation, pretty much all of the compensation, is held at status quo. So teachers got no increase, no step raises last year. The only thing that the law would allow for under a status quo scenario is a column move. Let's say you are a teacher with your bachelor's and you get your master's. We give more money for that, and their teachers are entitled to that piece. But they're still covered under the existing collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you.
Okay.
I certainly hope that in the future, the town and the school can be in a more cooperative move. I know we've made some strides in the past year or so, and here's a classic example of saving the taxpayers a lot of money. I suspect there are other areas between the town and the school we can do more, and that's a lot of money. Like I said, $344,000 to be burning. We should have taken care of this years ago, and I guess I can blame myself for not jumping on that also, but I'm thankful that everyone is in agreement with it now. Thank you.
Anyone else for the school operating budget or warrant articles like to provide any comment for the budget committee's consideration? Now's your chance, because I'm going to close the public hearing shortly.
It's a long walk. Tony Weinstein, 275 Ash Swamp Road. And I just wanted to voice my support for the teacher's contract. And I'm grateful that the school district and the teachers association was able to come to an agreement this year. And I support it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for the school portion at 7:35. And Mr. Forney, are you ready?
Okay.
But at this, I don't,
Nobody
well,
wants to
actually,
talk.
yeah. Why don't we we'll let the school board members leave the table, and if any council members or president that want to come up to the table, we'll come back in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
I can Northampton Public.